Now let's take a quick look at the fastest way we can build a symbol. So we already extracted the pin data, and we have good pin data in there. From here, all we have to do is click Build Symbols, and as we reviewed before, PartBuilder will build a symbol for every one of these I/O banks. It'll build a symbol for every one of these transceiver banks. It'll build a symbol for these I/O banks, a configuration bank, and then the power pins. And we don't have to do anything. So let's just go and hit Build Symbols. So it's reading the pin report. The next thing it's going to do is run SmartFrac. And SmartFrac is going to break up the pins. I'm going to say overwrite this. SmartFrac is going to break up the pins into banks and power. It's going to create an STL file for us called STL from template, and that describes how to build the symbols for the whole part. And now what it's doing is it's using the STL file to map the pins to symbols. So it's building our symbols for us in the background, vendor neutral. And now it's doing the symbol builder step where it's going to build Allegro and OrCAD symbols for these two devices, for the device. So it built symbols for Allegro and OrCAD, and now we can go view them. So let's take a look at the Allegro symbols. And this pops up our very handy widget, and the HTML symbol viewer, which is very powerful compared to other symbol viewers on the market. First of all, it gives us a browser to look at the symbols, and we can see what it created. So it created pins for dedicated I/O banks. It created a symbol for each one of the generic I/O banks, and all in all, it created 66 symbols in that short amount of time. So the dedicated I/O banks, it's got all the special pins required for configuration, and then it's got a generic I/O bank for 19. So it's got all of the I/O pins. It puts the VCCO power pins there, and it puts the VREF pins separate here. So for every one of these banks, 19, 20, 21, so we can look at bank 27, it'll look exactly the same, except it'll just be that bank. Then we'll jump into the transceiver banks, and it builds one transceiver bank with the receiver GTYs on one side and the transmitters on the other, and then it puts the ref clocks, and if there's a RCal pin and RF pin for that bank, it'll show it. So we can walk through. 221 doesn't have those two pins, so it automatically handles it. And then we can get past the transceiver banks, so the last one is 237. And then we can look at the dedicated power pins. So these are the all the dedicated power pins for MGTs. So there's the right south, the right left center, the right north, and the right upper center. All right, this is right lower center, right north, right upper center. Here's the VCC aux I/O, VCC int I/O, VCC aux, VCC VRAM pins. And now we start the ground pins. So there's, if we look at this, it created 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pins to hold the ground pins, and then or 7 symbols to hold the ground pins, and then it created 2 symbols to hold all the VCC int pins. So there's VCC int 1 to 58, and then VCC int 159 to 232. So in that short amount of time, we just built symbols for a 3800 pin part. Now maybe we want to control this better and build 2 banks at once. So maybe put 19 and 20 in one symbol, 20 and 21, 21 and 22 in another symbol. So the further steps in this video will show us how to do that.